Some songs were too political, others were too sexual, a few were just too weird for conservative ears. These are 12 rock classics from the 60s that radio tried to silence, but the music refused to die. And our number one? It was so scandalous that DJs were threatened with losing their jobs if they dared to play it. Number 12, Let's Spend the Night Together by the Rolling Stones.
I'm in no hurry, I can take my time,
In 1967, the Rolling Stones were already the bad boys of British rock, but Let's Spend the Night Together took their reputation to another level. Its unapologetic suggestion of casual intimacy was too much for primetime radio, especially in America, where many stations refused to play it. When they performed it on The Ed Sullivan Show, they were ordered to change the lyric to "Let's spend some time together." Mick Jagger rolled his eyes so hard the camera caught it. Despite the censorship, the track became a rebellious anthem, with fans singing the real line even louder at live shows. Coming next, the Beatles drop a psychedelic masterpiece that had radio reading between the lines. Number 11, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds by the Beatles. Released on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band in 1967, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds was a dazzling trip through dreamlike imagery. But it didn't take long for radio programmers to notice something. The initials spelled out LSD. The Beatles insisted it was inspired by a drawing John Lennon's son Julian brought home from school. But the swirling, surreal lyrics and psychedelic sound made the rumor hard to shake. Some stations banned it outright, convinced it was a drug reference, which of course only made it more popular among curious listeners. Next up, a Who classic that had some DJs convinced it was mocking the disabled. Number 10, My Generation by The Who. My Generation exploded onto the scene in 1965 with raw aggression, a thundering bass line, and Roger Daltrey's trademark stutter. The stammer wasn't an accident. It was meant to mimic the sound of a mod kid high on speed, giving the song an edge that freaked out more conservative broadcasters. Some stations claimed it mocked people with speech impediments and refused to air it.
Why don't you all
That didn't stop it from becoming one of the most enduring youth anthems of all time, a middle finger to authority wrapped in 3 minutes of pure rock defiance. Number 9, White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane. In 1967, Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit hit the airwaves like a psychedelic lightning bolt. Grace Slick's hypnotic vocals told a surreal Alice in Wonderland tale, but behind the imagery was a bold wink toward mind-expanding substances. Lines like "feed your head" were too on the nose for some stations, and the marching, hypnotic build made it feel like a call to action. Censors tried to downplay it, but the song became a counterculture anthem, proving that sometimes the best way to make a hit is to make it dangerous. Coming next, a protest song so raw and bleak it had politicians calling for it to be silenced. Number 8, Eve of Destruction by Barry McGuire.
Don't you understand what I'm trying to say? Can't you feel the fears I'm feeling today?
When Barry Maguire released Eve of Destruction in 1965, it wasn't just a song, it was a warning. With lyrics about war, racial injustice, and nuclear annihilation, it was too much for many radio programmers who wanted music to be an escape, not a mirror.
Disintegrating, this whole crazy world is just too frustrating, and you tell me.
Some stations banned it for being unpatriotic, while others refused it for inciting unrest. Ironically, the controversy pushed it to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, proving you can't silence a song that speaks to the moment. Next up, the Beatles again, with a track that made censors think they'd cracked a hidden code. Number 7, I Am the Walrus by the Beatles.
Like pigs from a gun, see how they fly. I'm crying.
By 1967, the Beatles were masters of the psychedelic riddle, and I Am the Walrus was their strangest puzzle yet. John Lennon filled it with nonsensical images, coded wordplay, and sly nods to drug culture. The BBC banned it, citing unintelligible lyrics and possible drug references, which only made fans analyze every line even harder.
Clever like a fishwife, pornographic priestess. Boy, you've been a naughty girl, you let your knickers down.
Its swirling orchestration and cryptic mood turned it into a cult favorite, cementing Lennon's genius for turning nonsense into cultural rebellion. Number 6, Kick Out the Jams by MC5.
I know how you want it. How quick and tight. Girls can't stand it when you do it right. I'm gonna stand.
In 1969, Detroit's MC5 lit a fuse under the rock scene with Kick Out the Jams. The studio version was fierce enough, but it was the live album opener, complete with Rob Tyner's infamous shout, "Kick out the jams, mother."
Roll now, right square into your very soul. Yeah.
That set off the alarms. Many record stores refused to stock it, and radio stations bleeped or cut the track entirely. Instead of apologizing, MC5 doubled down, printing an alternate cover aimed squarely at their critics. The band only solidified their reputation as uncompromising, high-voltage revolutionaries. Coming next, Van Morrison's sweet-sounding single that hid just enough spice to make censors nervous. Number 5, Brown Eyed Girl by Van Morrison.
Running, hey, scupping and jumping in the early misty morning fog with.
On the surface, Brown Eyed Girl was pure sunshine, jangly guitar, sing-along chorus, and Van Morrison's warm delivery. But sharp-eared radio programmers in 1967 caught a line in the third verse about making love in the green grass.
Hollow, playing a new game.
In many markets, that lyric was edited out for being too explicit for daytime play. Even with the censorship, the song became one of Morrison's signature hits, and fans at concerts made sure to sing the forbidden line at full volume.
Laughing and running, hey.
Next, the Byrds fly into trouble with a title that had the FCC raising its eyebrows. Number 4, 8 Miles High by the Byrds.
8 miles high and ready to touchdown.
Released in 1966, 8 Miles High was a bold experiment, a fusion of folk rock, jazz-inspired guitar runs, and a hazy, hypnotic vibe. The Byrds claimed it was about the experience of flying to England, but radio stations zeroed in on the title and trippy sound as a not-so-subtle nod to drug use. The band heard its chart run, but it became a psychedelic milestone, influencing countless bands that weren't afraid to push sonic boundaries. Number 3, God Only Knows by the Beach Boys.
You should ever leave me. Oh, life would still go on, believe me.
When the Beach Boys released God Only Knows in 1966, it was hailed by musicians as one of the most beautiful love songs ever written. But in the conservative radio climate of the mid-60s, using the word God in a pop song title was considered risky, even blasphemous. Some U.S. stations refused to play it entirely, fearing backlash from religious groups. Despite the pushback, the track endured, with Paul McCartney later calling it the greatest song ever written, proving that artistry outlasts censorship every time.
May not always love you, but long as there are stars above you.
Coming next, the Beatles pushed Sgt. Pepper into even more trouble with a sprawling closer that had stations squirming. Number 2, A Day in the Life by the Beatles.
They'd seen his face before. Nobody was really sure if he was from the House of Love.
The closing track on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was an epic orchestral journey and a magnet for controversy. Lines about smoking and turning on had censors convinced it was a drug song, and the BBC promptly banned it in 1967.
I was late. Found my coat and grabbed my hat. Made the bus in seconds flat.
John Lennon insisted it was inspired by newspaper stories and everyday life, but the dreamy atmosphere and coded imagery only fueled speculation. Today, it's considered one of rock's most ambitious achievements, ban or no ban. And now, the #1 song that had DJs warned they'd lose their jobs if they spun it on air. And now, the #1 song that had DJs warned they'd lose their jobs if they spun it on air. Bonus entry. The End by The Doors. When The Doors released The End in 1967, it was already unlike anything on the radio, a sprawling, nearly 12-minute psychedelic journey with Jim Morrison's hypnotic, almost theatrical delivery. What really pushed it over the edge for censors was Morrison's infamous Oedipal section, delivered in a fevered whisper and building to an emotional eruption.
Blue bus, meet me at the back of the blue bus, do not blue rock down.
Some stations cut the track entirely, while others aired an edited version that stripped away its most controversial moments. The bands only added to the song's mystique, making it a staple of underground FM stations that dared to play unfiltered rock. Today, The End is considered a masterpiece, haunting, surreal, and a bold artistic statement that challenged what a rock song could be. Its very existence on a major label release in the 60s was a rebellion in itself. Number 1, Somebody to Love by Jefferson Airplane. Somebody to Love became the anthem of the Summer of Love in 1967, but to more conservative stations, its urgent plea for connection was dangerously tied to the era's sexual revolution. The driving beat, Grace Slick's fierce delivery, and the unspoken undercurrent of counterculture values made it a red flag for some programmers. Rumors swirled that the song's real meaning was about free love and defiance, and a few markets pulled it from playlists entirely. Ironically, the bands only made it more iconic, proof that trying to silence a movement often just turns up the volume. And there you have it, the rebellious soundtrack of the 60s that radio tried to keep under wraps. These weren't just songs. They were challenges to the system, soundtracks to a generation refusing to stay quiet. Some were banned outright, others heavily edited, but all of them found a way to survive and thrive through the decades. Which of these tracks do you think was the boldest for its time? Drop your answer in the comments, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next trip through rock's most defiant moments. Speaking of which, our next video digs into the 70s rock anthems radio feared the most. You won't want to miss it.